If you've never met a man like Chima, pray you never do. They don't shout, they don't fight, they don't break things. They break you. Quietly, gently, silently. So softly you start believing you're the problem. Hold on, let me tell you a story. A story of a woman and her husband, Adora and Chima. This woman almost disappeared in her own home. Let me start from the beginning. Chima Woke lived his life like a perfectly ironed cloth. Smooth, organized, immaculate. To the world, he was a school principal who managed students with calm fairness and parents with diplomatic grace. People loved that about him. Principal Chima never raises his voice. They often said, a true gentleman. And yes, Chima loved peace, but not the peace born from understanding, no. No, he loved this peace born from silence, from obedience. He believed a good wife should be gentle, soft-spoken, agreeable without questions, a woman who nodded more than she spoke, a woman who understood his moods without him needing to explain. So the day he saw Adora at a teacher's conference, soft-eyed, soft-voiced, soft-smiled, he made up his mind instantly. She was exactly what he needed. Adora taught fine arts at a small community school. She wasn't loud at all. She neither was timid. She simply moved quietly, listened deeply, and spoke only when necessary. And Chima loved that. She didn't interrupt or challenge him, and he deeply enjoyed that. To him, Adora felt like calm water on a sunny day. He mistook her silence for submission. He mistook her patience for weakness. And so, he pursued her with polite persistence. He gave her flowers, went for visits, long discussions about his goals, his dreams, his expectations. When they finally married, Chima believed he had won a prize. In the early days of their marriage, things were very smooth. Chima would kiss her forehead before leaving for work. He brought groceries home. He asked how her day was, but things turned too fast. One day, when he returned from work, Adora mentioned how lonely she felt during the long evenings he spent in meetings. You always overreact, Chima said with a small laugh. That's why you can't have strong friends. She blinked. Overreact? He kissed her cheeks and walked away. The next day, they had a disagreement about finance. Chima, I thought we agreed to save for the art workshop, she said. I never said that, he replied calmly. You're imagining things. She frowned. No, he did say that, in fact. She remembered clearly. They had talked on a Sunday morning while she washed tomato. She remembered the tomato, the smell of pepper, the shirt he wore, everything. Yet he looked so certain, so sure, so offended that she dared insist. Maybe she did mishear. Just maybe. Few days later, he snapped at her in front of the guests, accusing her of forgetting to switch off the generator. Later that night, when she tried to explain how hot she felt, he folded his arms and sighed heavily. If you didn't talk back, I wouldn't raise my voice. And then came the gentle isolation. You know your colleagues don't really like you, he said one morning while sipping tea. Why not stay at home and focus on the house? I make enough for both of us. He said it lovingly, softly, as though protecting her. Adora did not shout, did not argue, did not throw accusations. She remained calm, but was slowly falling into depression. Outside, Chima remained the man everyone adored. He opened school assemblies with gentle speeches about discipline and kindness. He helped old women cross the road. He donated to church projects, treated staff with respect. He never raised his hands, never shouted unnecessarily, never argued in public. But when the front door closed, Adora became his mirror, one he didn't want to see. You're too sensitive, he would say when she expressed hurt. You imagine problems, he'd whisper when she questioned contradictions. Stop embarrassing me with your emotions, he'd warn if she cried. People will think I mistreat you if you keep talking like this, he would add with the calm tone of a parent scolding a stubborn child. You know I treat you well. Why are you never grateful? He often concluded. No shouting, no slamming, just steady erosion. He broke her confidence piece by piece, like someone peeling yam, thin slice by thin slice, so slowly she barely realized what she was losing. And because he was gentle, polite, reasonable, nobody believed Adora. Not even Adora believed herself sometimes. She would think to herself, maybe I'm really overreacting. Maybe I should not talk back so there'll be peace. One Sunday, after a particularly painful evening where Chima dismissed her concerns For the 5th time that week, Adora reached her breaking point. She went to visit his sister Ebere, hoping for guidance, or at least empathy. Ebere listened for 2 minutes before shaking her head. Chima? Never, she said with a laugh. My brother cannot talk like that. You're misunderstanding him. Adora opened her mouth, then closed it in shock, as if rehearsed. Chima entered the room at that moment with a gentle smile. She gets overwhelmed easily, he said softly, rubbing Adora's back. I try my best with her. Ebere nodded sympathetically at him. Adora felt her chest tighten. By the time they left, she felt like a mad woman telling stories that made no sense. And Chima held her hand as they walked to the car, like a man comforting a confused wife. Desperate, she turned to her pastor. My husband dismisses everything I feel, she said, voice trembling. The pastor smiled. You're lucky to have a calm man, he said. Pray for a gentle spirit, and everything will fall in line. She went to her mother, and she wasn't any better. Adora, my child. Men don't like too much talk. Don't provoke him. Everywhere she turned, the message was the same. Endure, submit, lower your voice. Chima looked wounded whenever she tried to explain. I'm disappointed you're bad-mouthing me, he said sadly. Everyone sided with him. Everyone blamed her. That night, Adora cried with a depth she didn't know she possessed. It happened again on a Saturday night. Chima had invited 2 colleagues over for dinner, and Adora, eager to maintain peace, had cooked jollof rice, peppered turkey, and moi moi that took hours to steam. The house smelled warm, rich, welcoming. During the meal, one of the guests mentioned a book about leadership and empathy. Adora smiled slightly and added a small comment about how leadership also meant listening. Chima's smile froze, just for a second, but Adora saw it. When the guests left, he shut the door gently, turned to her and said, Why did you correct me in front of them? Her face tightened. I didn't correct you. I only added. You make me look weak, he snapped. It was the first time his voice cracked in anger without witnesses. You always twist my words, he continued before she could speak. You are attacking me again. She inhaled sharply. Chima, I'm trying to. You think you're trying, but what you're doing is embarrassing. You don't respect me. He walked away, leaving her standing in the dimly lit hallway, feeling like a misplaced shadow. A soft voice broke the silence. Auntie Adora. She turned. Their neighbor's daughter, 7-year-old Zuri, stood near the open window that separated their houses. Auntie, the little girl asked innocently, why does Uncle Chima talk like you're invisible? Adora froze. In that moment, everything inside her cracked wide open. Children don't analyze. Children don't exaggerate. They simply see. And Zuri had seen what grown adults refuse to acknowledge. Adora knelt down. What do you mean, sweetheart? Zuri shrugged with the kind of honest simplicity only a child could carry. He talks like you're not there, like he doesn't hear you. Adora cupped a hand over her mouth. Tears she had held back for months spilled freely. Someone finally saw her. Someone finally noticed. But it wasn't her pastor, her mother, a friend, or a sister-in-law. It was a child. 2 months later, after enduring, Adora received an invitation to participate in a community art exhibition themed Hidden Stories. Excitement bubbled inside her like a dawn. But when she told Chima, his face twisted ever so slightly. What kind of art will you show? He asked. She shrugged softly. I haven't decided, but I want to participate. His voice hardened beneath calmness. Your art is childish, Adora. People will laugh. Her throat tightened. Chima, my work is meaningful. It speaks. Speaks what? He waved a dismissive hand. Sad drawings about your imaginary problems. You think that's what our family needs? Embarrassment? His words stung sharper than blades. But this time, something told her not to shrink. That night, after he slept, Adora went into her small art room, closed the door gently, and stared at a blank canvas leaning against the wall. She picked one up, then another, and another. By morning, she had painted the first piece, a woman standing tall but slowly dissolving into the background, like a figure blending into a wall. The next night, she painted the second piece, a woman with a mouth covered by a soft shadow,
trying to speak, but unsure if anyone can hear. Then a third, a woman shrinking while a man smiles gently beside her, hands clasped behind him, expression harmless. Then a fourth. The collection became a series she titled Silent Bruises. There was no blood, no fists, no violence, just the quiet, suffocating pain of emotional bruises nobody saw. Days before the exhibition, Chima tried again. "You're not entering that show," he said firmly. "You'll embarrass us." Adora didn't raise her voice, didn't argue. She simply said, "I'm going." For the first time, Chima didn't know what to do with her certainty. When the exhibition day arrived, the hall was filled with artists, their families, students, journalists, and visitors. Adora's section was placed near the center. When the spotlight hit her collection, the room stilled. People leaned in, slowly, curiously, then emotionally. One woman whispered, "This is exactly what I felt in my marriage." Another man murmured, "Why does this feel so familiar?" A teenage girl said, "This is how my mom looks every day." People cried, people stared, people whispered, "Who is the woman that painted this?" "Adora Chima Woke. Isn't she Principal Chima's wife?" someone asked. "Yes," another replied. As Adora gave the speech about her painting, everywhere fell silent, followed by a heavy understanding. Chima arrived halfway through the show. He forced a smile. "Adora, why are you embarrassing our family with sad drawings?" But the crowd turned and watched him with new eyes. For the first time, people noticed how sharp his eyes were behind the calm smile, how his hands gripped Adora's elbow just a little too tightly, how he spoke to her like a child who misbehaved. For the first time, his mask cracked. He stormed out, but not because she angered him, because she exposed him, without a word, without even painting his face. A women's rights organization approached Adora after the exhibition. "We want you to speak at our gathering," they said. "Your art opened a conversation many people have avoided." The hall was full on the day of the event. Women, elders, students, everyone curious to hear the story behind Silent Bruises. Adora stepped forward. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She didn't mention Chima. Instead, she spoke about pain that has no scars, about words used like weapons, about confusion disguised as love, about women blamed for asking to be heard, about silent suffering that became normal. The audience wept. Chima stood from the crowd, furious. "She's portraying me as abusive," he shouted. "I never touched her." One of the advocates, a gray-haired woman, known for her bluntness, turned slowly and said, "You don't need to hit someone to break them." The room hummed. Then, "My sister went through this," one said. "My wife lived like this for 15 years," another said. "My cousin nearly lost herself from this kind of treatment," said another. Chima's face paled as people confronted him, not with accusations, but recognition. It wasn't about him anymore. It was about a pattern. And for the first time, nobody believed him. Adora left the exhibition hall with quiet dignity. She didn't scream, didn't fight, didn't wave banners calling him out. She didn't need to. She had already spoken through her art, through the hearts of the people who understood. At home, Chima tried to apologize repeatedly. "Please, Adora, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just—" But he never said the words she needed to hear. "I gaslight you. I dismissed your feelings. I was wrong." And she didn't argue. She didn't beg. She didn't negotiate for acknowledgement. She simply smiled, calm and certain. "I don't need you to admit it. I only need myself to stop enduring it." And with that, she walked out of the house, not in defeat, but in liberation, getting her peace. Thank you, besties, for listening. Drop a comment on what you think about Adora's story. And have you ever been in a situation like that? What did you do and how did you come out of it? Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can make more amazing tales like this. Until the next tale, besties. Love you. Mwah.